Now in this room we have a lot of young people, and I'm hoping that some of you will become grassroots activists, and others will become global CEOs. So there's a little bit of advice for both groups of people here. Why am I talking about this? So I've been thinking about some of the things I'm going to talk about for almost 5 years now in different ways. I've been thinking about inspiring, organizing, and energizing people around a shared purpose for almost 5 years now. Whether it takes the form of creating an online platform to get young voters to share election irregularities in India, or inspiring Chinese youth to engage in everyday acts of kindness, or helping design students in India share ideas to redesign, reuse, recycle all types of gadgets. So I've been doing some of this for a while now. 3 interesting things I see grassroots activists doing. You've probably seen these platforms. If you haven't, you should go back and check them out. Kiva connects individuals who have money to spare and who want to help with projects, and via microfinance institutions which need very small loans, $25 microloans. And sometimes this $25 microloan might be for somebody in Africa to start a vegetable counter. Sometimes it might be for somebody to buy a tractor and start farming in the proper way. And many of you would have seen how this platform has started very small, has become a really big global platform, and how many lives have been touched. Perhaps many of you have heard those stories. Here's a platform I'm actually very familiar with because I used it to create the election monitoring platform in India. Ushahidi started in Kenya in 2008 when Oriokola created this mapping, crowdsourced mapping tool to map stories of post-election ethnic violence. And then, since then, it has been used in Gaza to track the war in Gaza. It has been used, starting with India, which I started, dozens of elections all over the world. It was used in Haiti. And the most fascinating thing about how Ushahidi has developed or built upon that initial crisis mapping tool in Kenya is that they decided, once they started getting some traction on it, they decided to give it away. Just like TED, in many ways, has decided to give away TEDx to all of us. And then once that happens, then volunteers from all over the world, just like volunteers all over the world, have created these TEDx events, started creating applications and instances on Ushahidi. So much so that now there are hundreds of instances. And the most fascinating to me is this serious gaming platform which World Bank created with Jane McGonigal. And basically we have this narrative that all the problems in the world are in Africa and all the solutions lie in the developed world. This game subverted this narrative by saying that African students will work with the global community to use African innovation to create solutions to the world's biggest problems. Thousands of people participated, people like me participated, and we helped African students create really innovative solutions using this very innovative social gaming platform. 3 lessons global CEOs can learn from grassroots activists. All these 3 platforms, all these 3 initiatives were created by people like you and me. Until they created these platforms, they were not known outside the very small groups of friends. And then they created these to solve a problem they saw in the world, and then they gave these platforms away, and the world adopted them, and they became these drivers for real change in the world. There are many lessons I feel that global CEOs can learn from these activists. Let me look at 3 lessons. Number 1, always start with why. Always start with why, both in work and in life. Always ask yourself, What is your purpose? What is meaningful to you? What inspires you? In all these three cases I showed you, Kiva, Ushahidi and Evoke, somebody asked that question, somebody like you and me, and somebody created something powerful out of that. Start with why. Then ask what you're trying to achieve. And that's the second one. What is the value you are creating? And in many cases, these people did not have a very clear idea of the value they were creating. When my friend Ori created Ushahidi to track post-election crisis violence in Kenya, she didn't know that the same platform will be used to track the war in Gaza or elections in India and Afghanistan and Brazil and dozens of other countries. That's not what she was trying to create. But what she did know was number three. How is about participation and how you create value. Yeah. So she did know that this is how she wanted to create value. And which is why when she created the platform, she also gave it away. And therefore ended up creating all this value which Ushahidi has created in dozens of countries, in dozens of contexts. So that's the lesson number one. Always start with why, but also ask, what value are you trying to create? And if you don't know that, ask, how are you going to create that value? Lesson number two, design what I call a purpose ecosystem. Know that you can't do it alone. Know that you are a small member of this very large community which perhaps believes in the same purpose. And this community is distributed all over the world. And they just haven't discovered themselves, each other yet. And if you can find a way to create this purpose ecosystem, to bring together all these stakeholders, then good things will happen. Sometimes you'll create sustainable solutions through collaborative innovations. Sometimes you'll create grassroots movement which change the world, like we saw in Egypt. And all of that started because somebody decided that they couldn't do it alone and they needed the rest of the purpose ecosystem to come together. So this purpose ecosystem, as you see, needs to include business, needs to include governments, needs to include civil society. And then it needs to include all these communities which believe in the same purpose. So that's lesson number two. Know that you can't do it alone. Know that you need help. And know that there's an ecosystem out there which is willing to help you, just waiting to help you. Lesson number three, always aim to inspire people. And the way to inspire people is to find the shared purpose, what I'm beginning to call the social heartbeat. Something which connects your heart, your stakeholders' heart. Always start with that, a shared purpose to inspire people. And then create the platform, and very increasingly the most powerful platforms are online. Create a platform to organize people. You know that these platforms are not always only online. So of course, the whole TED platform has an online website where we watch all the wonderful videos, but this event is also a part of the TED platform, which is very much offline, as you know. And then once you have done that, once you have inspired people and you have organized them, then energize them. Energize them to participate and energize them to act. And if you're able to do that, then you come closer to realizing your purpose. Are CEOs doing any of this? Are global CEOs doing any of this? At TED India in 2009, 2 years back, I gave a version of the same talk called 3 Lessons which marketers and entrepreneurs can learn from activists. And I was seeing that beginning to happen. I was seeing entrepreneurs like Twitter building large companies on the same principles that Ushahidi built their platform. Yeah? And now I'm happy to tell you that I'm beginning to see global CEOs also learning these lessons and acting on them. So let me show you 3 examples of global CEOs acting on these lessons. Let me start with Nike. Nike has a very clear purpose. Nike's purpose is to help each one of us find the athlete within our bodies. It believes everyone who has a body is an athlete. Each one of you is an athlete. That's what it believes in. That's its purpose. And to help realize its purpose, it has done many things, including the Nike Plus community, which it created a few years back. Nike realized that running is a very local pursuit. All long-distance runners are very lonely. And therefore, it said, what can we do to convert this very lonely activity into a community activity? And they created Nike Plus, tied up with Apple to create Nike Plus. Basically, some of you who might have used the tool or heard of it, a sensor goes into your shoes, a connector goes to your iPod. When you're running, the sensor tracks data of your runs, including geolocation data, sends it to your iPod. When you sync your iPod to your computer, to the internet, it sends all this data up to this community. Yeah? And basically, 375 million miles have been run by the Nike Plus community members. And in my mind at least, there's no doubt that through this community, Nike has inspired people to run. The 1 year when I was using Nike Plus, I ran more than the rest of my 32 years combined. It has organized them and it has energized them to find the athlete within them. That's not the only thing Nike is doing. Let's look at a very different flavor of what Nike is doing. Nike has this other purpose of making sure that all its products are sustainable in the sense that they're 100% reusable. And Nike has been doing a bunch of things, including creating a design approach and a design index to make this happen. As it was doing it, it realized that it's not the only company who wants this to happen, who wants sustainable design. And then it tied up with Best Buy and a bunch of other companies to create Nike Green Exchange. And it gave away a lot of its IP on sustainable design for free, as long as other companies also gave away their IP for free. And then people like you and I, who are enthusiastic, passionate about these things, chipped in with their own ideas and their own little experiments, and suddenly this community has become a powerful driver for sustainable design. Let's look at GE, a very different kind of a company from Nike. GE decided some time back that its purpose lies in reimagining how we look at environment, reimagining how we look at health, and how it wants to do it is through participation. So it created a $200 fund along with some of the biggest VCs in the world to fund ideas that can help reinvent the power grid, that can help reinvent electricity consumption at home. And it did it on this online ideation platform. It created a $100 million fund called the Healthy Imagination Challenge to bring together tools from people like you and me, but also from practitioners distributed all over the world, tools and ideas to help fight breast cancer. And then, on a smaller scale, it has created a series of interesting applications to help people like you and me tap into our communities to live a healthier life. Let's look at an Indian example. Old, stodgy corporate group, the Mahindra Group, decided some time back that its purpose is to help all its stakeholders rise. And as part of that purpose, it created its Employee Social Options program to connect its employees who have time and the energy to volunteer to causes and projects which need volunteering. But it didn't only do that. It also created Mahindra Spark the Rise program, and if you haven't seen it, I'll request you to go have a look at it, where it's inviting ideas from all over India, from people like you and me again, which can help propel innovation, entrepreneurship, and positive change in India. My last slide. As you go back from this event today, Later tonight, please ask yourself, what is your purpose? What do you find meaningful? What inspires you? And once you've answered those questions, know that there are other people like you out there who are willing to help, who are waiting to help. All you need to do is to ask. Thank you.